And for more on this, we can speak with Behnam Ben Taleblu, a Senior Director for the Iran Program at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. Behnam, what's the key thing we need to understand then about these protests?
Well, it's a pleasure to be with you, Stephen. The key thing is that actually they do mirror past protests, meaning that they have distinctly non-political triggers, in this case economic, as in many years past, but that quickly move into being political protests, not in favor of one faction or not in favor of one piece of law or legislation in the Islamic Republic, but against the ruling Islamist autocratic elite in its entirety. So make no mistake, while these protests were triggered by economic issues, what has sustained them is larger street grievances against the state in its entirety.
Yeah, and some of the protests, so we heard their death to the dictator. How big a problem is this for the regime?
Well, the regime has long ago lost its base for social legitimacy. It has very narrow support amongst certain hardliners within the population. But estimates indicate that, up to 80%, if not more, of the population is anti-regime. And you've seen in multiple rounds of boom and bust protests a very different, demographic, geographic, and even age group of protesters come out since 2017 to protest against this regime. Almost in every single instance, the regime has responded with a fist on the streets, as well as a fist in cyberspace. What makes these different now, however, is that they're the first multi-day nationwide protests against the regime following the 12-day war, when the regime was really shown to be really weak abroad. The question is, how will they face up against unarmed protesters at home?
Yeah, and from the past, you mentioned they've responded with a sort of a strong hand. Do you think that's going to happen here?
I think you're already beginning to see it. There's certainly tear gas. There's certainly allegations on Persian language social media about live fire being used as well. I'd keep your eyes peeled for potential things related to the internet, whether they're regional throttlings or even national blackouts like we saw in previous iterations of anti-regime protests, particularly during the 2019 uprising. Lest we forget, Iranians die under the cover of darkness there. But moving forward, I would say keep your eyes peeled for further, contagion effects. Right now, you have 25 out of Iran's 31 provinces being shuttered due to quote unquote extreme weather. But I also think that this official shuttering of many public offices in these 25 different provinces has to do more with the regime not being able to deal with the growing contagion effect of these anti-regime protests.
And you think these protests are going to continue? They're going to grow?
I do think they're going to grow in the very, very short term. But I think whether they succeed or not, or whether this has been an inflection point or not, that is really for history to tell. But no doubt they have landed a pretty critical blow against the regime, showing that, even after the 12-day war, the so-called rally around the flag effect simply does not exist mere months after a historic missile exchange between Iran and Israel. And certainly it has shown that the people rightly understand that the issue is not sanctions or Western involvement or even Israeli airstrikes. The issue remains the government at home.
Behnam, thanks very much for that perspective. Behnam Ben Taleblu there, Senior Director for the Iran Program at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies.